Thank you all so much for clicking on this Seattle Seahawks Today video. The NFL regular season, the Seahawks season, it's over. But we're not going to go anywhere. We're going to keep giving you guys videos almost every single day on the Seahawks. So if you want to stay up to date on free agency, the draft, maybe some coaching changes as well, hit that big red button and subscribe today. A big thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring today's show. You can head over to manscaped.com/chat. You use that URL, you'll get 20% off and free shipping on all of their fantastic products. We're going to begin today's show with some news. Namely, John Schneider, as expected, is sticking around as the Seahawks general manager, extended through the 2027 NFL draft. Now, Schneider, once this season wrapped up officially, had just 1 year left on his deal. Right around playoff time, just a bit before it actually, there was a rumor leak that the Lions had interest in adding John Schneider. I am firmly in the camp that was leaked in order to help John Schneider get an extension that he frankly deserved and coveted. He's been the Seahawks GM since 2010. Pete Carroll, more on him by the way, actually coming up in just a second here, had been extended before the year began through 2025. Not a huge surprise. It makes absolute sense for really all parties involved. So grade the extension here of GM John Schneider. I do want him to draft better, especially in the first round to be exact. But overall, what were you going to do? You were going to move on from John Schneider and just promote somebody below him? Hire an outside guy? Probably not. If you're Seattle, you want a better success in the way this year ended. You extend John Schneider, though. So I think it's an A or a B, but get your votes in for me in the comments section. Let's talk about Pete Carroll now. And I've seen some of this in the comments, too, so I figure we'd include it. Bleacher Report has suggested the Seahawks should maybe consider firing Pete Carroll, which I'm going to go with no. Now, look, I do want Pete Carroll to run a little bit more modern, especially offense. I think that there are areas he can improve, and the lack of playoff success is getting frustrating. I totally understand that. But Carroll also just signed an extension through the 2025 season. And although Pete Carroll is not a perfect coach, I don't think there are actually that many better head coaches in the NFL. Do I want him to go the route of Nick Saban in Alabama and adjust and become more modern? Yes. But of the past 5 years, yes, there's only the 2 playoff wins, but you have made it 4 out of 5 years, winning double digits in every year but one. Guys, there's like 20 different NFL teams that would kill to be in this range. So I don't want to move on from Pete Carroll. The OC, Brian Schottenheimer, that's a whole different conversation. But I say keep Pete Carroll, excuse me. But you guys can get your votes in here. This question will be the pinned comment on today's video. What to do with Pete Carroll? Type F for fire him or type in K for keep. If you get the ad break here on YouTube, scroll on down and get your votes in. Let's talk some more Pete Carroll here. Remember I mentioned being more modern? Yeah, this is not it. Carroll said he wants to run the ball more and more effectively, which, oh no, you were so close early this year. The offense, though, struggled down the stretch, right? Teams adjusted, and the Seahawks offense did not have a counter there. There are several reasons for this. Partially, it's the offensive line. Russell Wilson needs to check it down more often. The Seahawks, in the end, saw more 2 deep looks. Cover 2, man, just cover 2. There were 2 deep safeties back, and that took away some of the big-time chunk plays, which every single offense needs. And I understand Pete Carroll's mindset of like, okay, hey, I want to get more single-high looks, so I want to run the ball to force the defense to bring a man in the box. But that's not going to work because guess what? You've got DK Metcalf and you've got Tyler Lockett. You know what NFL teams, the smart and good ones, are going to do? Okay, you can run the ball a bunch for 4 or 5 yards a carry. It's fine. But if you have one negative play, all of a sudden now you're way behind the chains and you have to throw it too. So you need to be able to do a little bit of both. Don't get me wrong there. But the solution to combating defenses playing the pass against you more is to install a better passing attack. Not to try and force teams to load the box so then you can throw it over top of them. I don't think that's going to be effective there because opposing defenses shouldn't be stupid, right? So if I'm Seattle, I saw Brian Schottenheimer not really be able to game plan and adjust to 2 deep coverages. You can do that in the NFL. Like, I know Wilson's no Mahomes, But the Chiefs see too deep coverage. Other NFL teams see that, and they're able to adjust. That's what you have to do if you're Seattle. And as far as I'm concerned, they kind of need a new OC to get that done. Now, as mentioned, today's show made possible by our friends over at Manscaped. You can get the Lawnmower 3.0, but also the Perfect Package, which includes that lawnmower and ball toner, ball deodorant, and the most comfortable pair of boxers you will ever own. It's manscaped.com/chat. Check the comments. Check the description as well. I'll get that link in there for you guys. But it's all available at manscaped.com/chat. It's not just the Lawnmower 3.0 or the boxers or the travel case. There is a ridiculous amount of men's grooming products and manscaping products, of course, available. So go check it out today. 20% off and free shipping when you use that link. All right, we mentioned the ground game, trying to run that ball more. That means Chris Carson's staying, right? Maybe. Carroll does want to bring back Chris Carson, but I think the Seahawks as an organization are aware that paying running backs is a little interesting. Carson was clearly the team's best back this year when he was healthy. So the question for me, and I think Seattle, and I think for many of you too, what does Chris Carson want? Like, if he's out there asking for the Joe Mixon contract, like $10 million a year, $12 million a year, no. He got injury concerns around him. He's taken a beating in his NFL career. And the reality is that in many cases, second contracts for backs do not pay off because that's just the reality of life in the NFL. If you can get him on like a Melvin Gordon 2-year, $16 million deal, I'm open to that. I also know you got a lot of key players you want to try to re-sign, and Carlos Hyde's a free agent. Then you got Rashad Penny, DJ Dallas, Travis Homer, and God, you don't really feel great about that given Penny's own injury history. So this is part of a very difficult dance for the Seahawks this offseason. We'll go through team needs here later this week, and running back is fairly high on them because of the free agents. So Carson, in the end, I think it's going to come down to how much he actually wants and what is he willing to accept from Seattle. So what would you guys pay Chris Carson per year? What is the maximum amount of dollars, in millions of course, that you would give Chris Carson per year? Let me know what you guys think in the comments section. Let's talk Carlos Dunlap now, who was a critical part of the Seahawks' improved defense this year. Pete Carroll more or less said, and I'll paraphrase here, he wants to run it back on the defensive line, plus get Darrell Taylor back from his own injury issues. So I am very excited to see, and almost cautious and concerned, what Seattle does here. Obviously that they want to keep around Carlos Dunlap. He was awesome this season once he got traded. He also has a $14.1 million cap hit. Now that cap hit is not guaranteed. So if they wanted to cut him, they could do it and eat no dead money. All $14 million, it's off the books. But when Dunlap was healthy, got a bit banged up late in the year, shoot, man, 6 tackles for loss, 5 sacks. Wasn't quite one per game, but it was over every other game. 13 quarterbacks hits. The addition of Dunlap was a drastic boost to this defensive line. Then you got Benson Mayowa as a free agent. Demontre Moore, too. We've talked a lot about L.J. Collier and Rasheem Green. I'm kind of out on those guys more or less. That's all troubling and concerning. So I want to keep Carlos Dunlap, and I think the Seahawks do as well. I think Dunlap wants to stay too. But I think it has to come at a reduced cost. I don't think you can justify $14.1 million for Carlos Dunlap at his age and with the Seahawks' current cap situation. Maybe you extend him and get that number down. That makes some sense to me. But at 14.1, oh, it's a lot. But get your votes in here. Why for yes or and for no? I did want to wrap up here with some roster moves from the Seahawks today. Some futures deals have been signed. We'll go rapid fire because these guys probably won't ever make much of an impact. Danny Etling, Alex Magoo, the quarterbacks. Tyler Mabry out of Maryland, undrafted rookie, the tight end. 3 receivers, by the way. Aaron Fuller, Cody Thompson, and Penny Hart. John Ursura is not on this list, which is kind of intriguing there. And then finally, a couple offensive linemen and some defensive guys. Brad Lundblade, the center, great name. Tommy Champion, the offensive tackle. Cedric Lattimore, who also kind of played a little bit this year for Seattle. Gavin Heslop and Jordan Miller. A note on, wait, Tom, what on earth are futures deals? Well, in almost all cases, these are guys who are on the practice squad, and then their contracts technically expire, but they're super young, so they're not actually true free agents, and all they have to do is offer them, hey, come on cheap, and we'll keep your rights, and you get to compete for a roster spot. And it's fairly common right there. So we'll see any of those guys make the 53, but they do help build out the back end of your roster in the offseason when you're at 90.